Huskies fell in their opening game of the conference tournament yesterday, but able to come back with a win this morning against UMass Dartmouth, getting a 4-0 shutout over the Corsairs to keep their bid in this conference tournament alive. Martin grounds down to first base side, quickly fielded there and flipped along. And so out number one. So Caitlin Nelson up here. Caitlin Nelson up now for the Huskies. Batting .336 this season. That pitch in from Miller for a ball. 1-0. And that's foul play. So 1-1 here with actually a runner on board here for the Huskies. And the bunt attempt by Nelson goes wide for ball two. Nelson with a 2-1 count. And that's tipped foul. I'm going to say it was a pass ball, so actually 3-1, the count on Nelson. Swung on and missed, so they did get that a foul tip, and then that was a third strike. So initially some confusion, but the end result, a strikeout on Nelson, so one away. That pitch inside from Miller. As up now, Brooke Cross batting .360 this season, 504 slugging percentage. Right now on a 7-game hit streak as well. Swing and a miss there from Cross. 1-1 here on Cross as Miller deals. Pop foul over the the first base side. 1-2. So with the 1-2 count, this one's popped up to the third base side, coming over and dropping it. And now so runners at first and second. As coming over to try and make the play was Jen Landers, perhaps an easier play for Nora Butler. So one out and both runners safe at first and second. We'll see how they score that. They're going to say Cross singled. So perhaps a break there for Landers, not being assessed with the error. This one's grounded over to Roberts. Quick turn on the double play. Safe, though, at first was Brown. So runners at first and third on the fielder's choice. 2 outs as Miller And the Panthers try and get out of this inning. Ashley Tinsman next up here. 6 for 20 over her last 6 games played. Miller with the first pitch, swung on and fouled out of play. So 0-1 the count here. And that is foul out of play. It's time to third base side. And quickly, Tinsman finds herself in a 0-2 hole. Galen Miller with the 0-2 count. The left-hander winds, fires, and strikes out Tinsman for the final out of the inning. Still some dangerous times there in the top of the first, but Miller and the Panthers able to get out unscathed. So 2 hits, 2 left on base, no runs, and we head to the bottom of the first, tied 0-0. Welcome back at the UMass Dartmouth Softball Complex. Panthers getting their first at-bats today, leading off will be Deborah Morrill. Batting second, center fielder Cassidy Emerson. Ashley Dale about third at catcher today. And cleaning up will be first baseman Madison Harris. We go through the rest of the lineup after a strike one in on Morrill. Designated player Samantha Cushing batting fifth. Second baseman Mel Goss behind her. Shortstop Nora Butler as Morrill will send one high up into left field. There to make the play is Hannah Kenny. So a fly out to left field is the first out of the inning for the Panthers. Batting eighth, left fielder Lindsey Hall, and rounding out the lineup today will be third baseman Jen Landers. Emerson up to bat, batting .274 this season. Was 1 for 4 yesterday with 2 runs against Western Connecticut State in that win to stay alive yesterday, 6-2 the final after Plymouth State fell to 2-0 to UMass Boston in their opening game. So the winner here today will stay alive for tomorrow's action. Winner will head home. 2-1 now the count on Emerson. And she'll knock that high up to left field, and no doubt about it, that is gone. Cassidy Emerson with her first home run of the season, and she gives the Panthers a 1-0 lead here in the bottom of the first. Right off the bat, you knew that had the distance. And so Emerson getting mobbed by her teammates at home plate, and 1-0 here for Plymouth State. So Alexis Brown, 10-6 this season. We haven't even really had a chance to get into her stats. A 3.29 ERA coming in today, and second batter of the game goes yard. Actually, we saw that in the previous game between Eastern Connecticut State and UMass Boston. Sarah Piscinelli hitting a home run in the first inning, a second batter up to the plate for the Warriors. Now we see Ashley Deo leading the Panthers with a .423 batting average. That's foul tip, 1-1 the count. 17 hits in her last 13 games. That pitch there from Brown, called for a ball. 2-1 the count. Alexis Brown was quite good earlier today. 7 innings. No earned runs, 3 walks, 4 strikeouts, and a 4-0 shutout of UMass Dartmouth. So double duty here for Brown. As the count's all even, 2-2. That is up by full count now for Deo. And the money pitch. Inside for a ball 4. And so Deo is a 1-out base runner with her team leading 1-0. And striding to the plate. Cleanup hitter Madison Harris, the 5'9" freshman from Randolph, Massachusetts. 4 home runs this season, 28 RBIs. And she watches as the first pitch is low for a ball. That pitch a bit outside from Brown. Well, 2-0 against Harris. Dale on first base. She has had success on the base paths this season. Doesn't try and swipe too often, but pretty successful when she does. 4 for 4 in her attempts. After that foul ball on Harris, it is now 2-1 against the freshman. Up pitch outside, 3-1. And Plymouth State threatening here already in the first inning. And they're going to call that strike. Harris is ready to take first base there on the walk, but the umpire says 3-2, full count. And that's stroked into left field. It just finds its way on the right side of the line, and that will stay a single as Dale makes her way to the second. And so first and second for the Panthers with 1 out. That was just inside the left field line. So Samantha Cushing, the designated player. She's up next here for the Panthers. Coming into this tournament, batting .308 on the season. Ball just inside for ball 1. 1-0 the Panthers lead here in the bottom of the first. And the count 1-1. Brown gets a swing and a miss on that pitch up high. One and two of Brown. Deals and Cushing fouls out over the backstop, so it stays 1-2. Brown sees that ground in front of her mound, goes up to get it. Quick throw. The first is in time for the second out, but it does advance the runners as Deo scampers her way to third, and Harris now on second. So 1-3 fielder's choice. And now Mel Goss. Having a nice season after a down year last year, batting just 176 as a junior now in her fourth year with the Panthers. Batting .282 with a .551 slugging percentage. So 4 home runs this season as well, along to go with 17 RBIs. Counts even right now for Goss, 1-1. Two outs here on the Panthers. That pitch outside, 2-1. Brown trying to limit the damage here and able to get a swinging second strike there on Goss. So 2-2 the count. 2 outs. Brown up high, full count. So the payoff pitch slapped up through the legs of first baseman Bohan, and now will score some runs. Around is Dale, around is Harris, both cross home plate, and that is a 3-0 lead. As Goss went opposite field, right there was Bowen, but unable to come up with the play. And so 3-0 the lead here for the Panthers. That came in with some heat. And now, first pitch swinging for Butler, and she strokes that into left field. That will drop down for a single. 2 more base runners here for the Panthers, first and second with 2 outs. And Plymouth State has jumped on Alexis Brown and the Huskies early in this one. So a conference on the mound. And right now, Southern Maine just trying to stem the bleeding and make sure nothing more comes of this. So Lindsey Hall next up, the left fielder. Hall takes a strike there. 0-1. That was in for a strike, but dropped. So now 2-1 the count. Make that 1-1, excuse me. Brown deals. Outside, 2-1 here against Lindsey Hall. And that just misses the bottom of the strike zone. 3-1 now the count. Brown issues the walk. Bases loaded. And Jen Landers, the third baseman, bottom of the lineup. Trying to keep this inning going with her team ahead 3-0. Landers over 3 yesterday against Western Connecticut. Brown has that one slopped right back to the mound, looks for a play, throws to first, collected by Bohan, and that will end the inning. But the Panthers come out firing in the bottom of the first on 3 hits. 1 run, right, 3 runs, 1 earned, and 3 left on base. We head to the top of the second with the Huskies coming up to bat, trailing 3-0. Welcome back here at campus of UMass Dartmouth. It is 3-0. Plymouth State leads after scoring 3 in the bottom of the first. Top of the second, and leading off will be Kaylee Bohan. She's swinging on the first pitch. That goes foul out of play. Bohan 0 for 1 earlier today against UMass Dartmouth with a walk. And she takes a swipe at that one. That also goes foul. 0-2 here against Bohan. So down in the count, 0-2. Miller. Pitch just misses outside. Huskies were able to get base runners there in the first inning, 2 of them, in fact, as Bohan strokes this to the shortstop, and quick play made there by Butler to record the first out. So 6-3 on the putout there for Butler. Hannah Kenny next up for the Huskies. And quickly down in the count, 1-0 is Miller, as Kenny hitting .313 this season. And that pitch down low. So Kenny takes a swing and fouled off her body, it seems, but the play will be made nevertheless by Landers. I think they're going to send Kenny back to home plate. That appears to be the case. So 2-1 the count after that foul tip. Kenny with a foul ball. It goes off the fence. Nicely fielded there by the on-deck hitter, Tabitha Hirsch. So the count all even, 2-2. Miller with the windup. Swing and a miss by Kenny, and Miller strikes her out. Out number 2 here for Plymouth State. As a third baseman, Tabitha Hirsch. Hirsch hitting .241 this season. And she went over this morning against UMass Dartmouth. Miller able to get a swing and a miss from Hirsch, so 1-1 the count. Swung on and knocked over the dugout, first base side. 1-2 now here against Hirsch. Caitlin Miller came in relief of Kayla Matthew yesterday in the 6-2 win over Western Connecticut State. Now Miller with the 1-2 count. Pitch just outside. She got the start against UMass Boston. Actually had a pretty good outing to start off the tournament here for the Panthers, as that is again fouled out of play here by Hirsch. Pitched 7 strong innings, striking out 4, allowing no earned runs, but 2 did cross the plate for UMass Boston. So a couple of mistakes there defensively by the Panthers, and they couldn't get the offense going against Jen Greenspan, as this is another ball fouled out of play. So Caitlin Miller, the unfortunate loss, took the unfortunate loss yesterday for Plymouth State. But able to help Plymouth State hold on to the win to finish up the day yesterday. Hirsch with the 2-2 count and another foul tip. So Hirsch making Miller work here on this at-bat. Still 2 outs, still nobody on for the Huskies. As Cassie Emerson plays straight away, and that is the 6th consecutive pitch fouled away by Hirsch. So it still remains 2-2. Hit the count. Left-hander winds. Out of play once again. So Tabitha Hirsch making Caitlin Miller work pretty hard here in the top of the second so far. And the changeup. Slapped at, and again, it goes out of play, foul. I think we're approaching about 11 pitches on this at-bat so far. And this time it's fouled, this time to the third base side. So Hirsch stays alive time and time and time again here. Miller. This time it's fouled, almost caught up to there by the catcher, Ashley Dale, but no, we carry on. So Miller trying to pull something out of her bag of tricks, and that is outside for a ball. So now a full count. For all those pitches, thought it was a full count. Hirsch staying alive, but no, it was 2-2. And so now we have the payoff pitch, perhaps. That's great patience and a great eye by Hirsch. And that's slapped out of play. Well, into the trees to our right. And we're approaching a 15-pitch at bat here for Tabitha Hirsch. And this makes it a field of play, but it goes right into the waiting mitt of Harris, and that will close out the inning. So a long at bat, and Hirsch lines out to first baseman Madison Harris. That will close out the inning. No runs, no hits, no errors, no one left on base. Bottom of the second when we return on LittleEast.com. So we go to the bottom of the second here. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. I'm Mike O'Brien, joining you on LittleEast.com or Corsairathletics.com, depending on where you're listening. Jen Landers leads off the inning as Alexis Brown stands in on the mound. That first pitch called strike, and so 0-1 for Landers. Excuse me, Gassaway. As Gassaway flies out to left field under it to make the play. Excuse me, I was right the first time. Jen Landers flying out as Kenny made the play. Martin made the play. We'll get there. So back to the top of the order. As Cassidy Emerson. 2 quick strikes against her. Brown with the 0-2 count. Just outside for ball 1. 1-2 now against Emerson. And Emerson again, all the way out to center field, back to make the play. It's Cross. Just short of the warning track for out number 2. So Emerson, who gave it a ride in the first inning and made it over the fence to left field this time, got under a little bit, and Cross able to make the catch. First pitch swinging. This is popped up down to the third base line. Nelson strides over the shortstop next to catch. And so 3 up, 3 down here for the Huskies. And so they get out of the inning and they trail 3-0 as we go to the top of the third. So leading off in the bottom of the second, make that top of the third, Lauren Gassaway. Designated player takes a called first strike. Gassaway on the season hitting .235, 4 for 17. Earned 4 walks, has an on-base percentage of 40.9. Gassaway watches that pitch is low for a ball 2, 2-1. That's fouled out of play, 2-2. So let's see how Caitlin Miller is this inning after that long at-bat against Tabitha Hirsch that lasted close to 20 pitches before Miller was finally able to induce the line out to first base. Full count here after that ball from Miller. And Gassaway fouls that off of her face mask. Looks like she is okay. So it remains a full count. So full count on the payoff pitch here from Miller. Popped up and will roll over the first base foul line. And this bat carries on. Miller again with the full count. Rolled over the third base, taken there by Landers, and a quick throw over to Harris. And 5-3 the put out there, and Gassaway is away for the first out. Erin Martin next up to the plate. She singled on her first at bat. Martin leading the Huskies this season with a .382 batting average and a .618 slugging percentage. It's been a nice season for Martin. 25 RBIs, 5 home runs, 12 doubles. As Miller. High with that pitch, 1-1 against Martin. Miller winds and fires, and that catches the strike zone, 1-2. So the outfielder's playing Martin straight away. 1-2. Slap right back towards the pitcher. Fielded by Goss over the first. Harris makes a play for out number 2. Now next up, Caitlin Nelson. Struck out swinging on her first trip to the plate. 2 away here for the Huskies, with the Panthers leading 3-0. That fastball outside, 1-0. Outside solid for a ball, so behind the count, Miller 2-0. Miller. Right down the middle for a called strike. 2-1 now the count against Nelson. Nelson takes a swing and a miss. Count all even, 2-2. Miller sees that one. Get fouled off the backstop. And Nelson stays alive with a count of 2-2. Nelson, the freshman. Hometown of Guildhall, Vermont, but attended White Mountains Regional High School in Whitefield, New Hampshire. And just slowly making her way north, playing for Southern Maine now. As Miller has that one fouled out of play. Running swing and a foul tip there from Nelson. And give the Huskies credit. Safe to say they have extended their at-bats more than a couple times so far. Here against starter Caitlin Miller. That one's up high. Now we have full count. And we see a full count once again here for Miller. And again, we see a Husky batter foul one out of play. Miller's been a workhorse this season. 139 innings pitched. And this is one tap down to third base line. Throw over to first in time from Landers. And now will be the third out of the inning. So no runs, no hits, no one left on base for the Huskies. We go to the bottom of the third with the Panthers leading 3-0. Bottom of the third here at the UMass Dartmouth Softball Complex. Plymouth State leading Southern Maine 3-0. And leading off the third inning, Madison Harris here for the Panthers. Singleton scored back in the first inning as Brown outside, ball one. Pitch a bit up high, 2-0 the count now against Harris. That pitch in for a called strike, 2-1 against Harris. Harris, who went 0 for 3 yesterday against UMass Boston in the morning, but rebounded nicely. Going 2 for 3 against Western Connecticut State with 5 RBIs. And so she's responsible for 5 of those 6 runs yesterday, having a big grand slam in the first inning to put the Panthers up 4-0 at the time. Right now, full count against Harris. Outside, and so the walk issued by Brown. And Harris, leadoff base runner here in the bottom of the third. So Cushing grounded out to the pitch in her first at bat, but did advance the runners. And she swings on the first pitch, and that ball hits the top of the backstop and comes back into play. End result, though, strike one against Cushing. Cushing fouls that down the third base side as Hannah Kenny goes all the way over to field that ball. 0-2 now against Cushing. Cushing, who only played in that first game against UMass Boston for Southern Maine yesterday, back in the lineup today. And that goes over the backstop on a foul ball. 0-2. So as the Huskies have made Caitlin Miller work on the mound with some extended at-bats, so the Panthers have made Alexis Brown here work for Southern Maine. 1-2 the count against Cushing. And swing and a miss, and so Cushing goes down swinging here. So the first strikeout of the game for Brown as Mel Goss up next, and she takes a first ball. First pitch ball, 1-0 the count. Harris on first for the Panthers, 1 down. Pitch up high, ball 2. Outfielders playing Goss straight away here. As that pitch is low, now 3-0 against Goss. Taking the entire way, Goss gets a 4-pitch walk, and the senior will head over the first as Harris trots her way down the second. Nora Butler now up. She singled in her first at-bat. Pitch low again there from Brown. So 1-0 here against Butler. One and one the count after that strike. Butler batting .338 this season. Their best season so far. It's just slowly improving from her freshman year 2 years ago. .246 then sophomore season last year, .307. And this year up to .338. So steady improvement. And a career average that's just short of .300. 2-1 the count here against Butler. She'll take a swipe at that one, but got around on it a little bit. A nice catch by a fan there, protecting a puppy right in front of him. So you got a little bit of everything on that foul ball, but it remains 2-2. So a catch there by a fan as I think a Rottweiler puppy watches on. Chance for a double play. Was it there? Throw the first, not in time. As Howell looked to second, then tried to turn to first, but Goss make that Butler able to race it out and beat the throw. So now base is juiced. And Plymouth State with only one out. Lindsey Hall seeing if she can get some runs across the plate here. Let's see how they score that one. They're going to give Butler the single. As Hall pops us high up in the air, and the shortstop Nelson drifts back to make the play, and so 2 away here. So that's a key out for Alexis Brown and the Huskies. Jen Landers, who grounded out to pitcher last time up the bat to close out the inning. Brown right down the middle for strike one. Bases loaded, 2 outs. Landers with an 0-1 count. And that catches a corner, 0-2 now. Brown up high, couldn't get Landers to chase, so it's 1-2. Brown, as Landers reaches out, sends it towards a dugout, and nice play by Bohan to make the catch right before the fencing. And so, Brown gets out of the inning with no runs, 2 hits. No errors, 1 left on base. And the Huskies head to bat, top of the 4th, trailing 3-0. Top of the 4th with Southern Maine heading to plate. Caitlin Miller today, so far 2 hits and 3 innings pitched. 3 strikeouts as well. And leading off the inning will be Brooke Cross for Southern Maine. And it looks like Coach Sarah Jamo having a talk over with the umpire. Your umpiring crew today, Stephen Vitale, Brett McCrae, and David Bueno. So Brooke Cross, who singled in her first up at bat. Taps this towards the third base line. Landers quickly up and to throw the first. Good in time for out number one. So one pitch, one out here for Miller. Next up, Alexis Brown, who reached first on a fielder's choice back in the first inning. And this one is swung on and knocked foul. Oh, and 1 the count here against Brown. Brown, second team all-conference last year, getting 9 wins as a pitcher. That one's in for a strike. She's down the count 0-2. So really made her hay last year as a pitcher. Only hit 132 as a hitter. But this year, average of 325. That one's up high, just almost may have made contact with Brown there. Instead, it's just 1-2. So not only that, 24 RBIs for Brown. And trying to help her own cause here. That pitch down the dirt. Count all even, 2-2. So Miller with the windup and the pitch. Brown just over the head and glove of the shortstop Butler, who couldn't get back in time. And so Brown aboard with 1 out. And Ashley Tinsman up next. Tinsman struck out looking back in the first inning. She is 0-1. So junior in her first year with Southern Maine after transferring from the University of Maine last season. Hitting .275 this year with now 25 RBIs. And she will rip one through the middle into center field. Rolls over to Emerson. Quickly back in the infield for Butler. But runners first and second here for the Huskies with 1 down. So back-to-back singles here for Southern Maine. Kaylee Bohan next up to the plate. She grounded out to short back in the second inning. And that pitch just missed the bottom of the strike zone. 1-0 the count. She'll send that foul out of play, 1-1. Bohan's been hitless in her last 5 games. And a swing and miss there, 1-2 the count. So Southern Maine really threatening for the first time since the first inning. Trailing 3-0 here. Miller. Bohan fouls it down the left field side, and running out of real estate is Hall. The count stays at 1-2 here for Bohan. That pitch just outside, 2-2. A 2-2 pitch. Just misses up high, full count. Miller doesn't like it. Thought she caught the strike zone there. Miller just outside. And so bases loaded here now for the Huskies. Just one away. And Hannah Kinney next up for Southern Maine. She struck out back in the second inning. 0 for 1 on the afternoon. It's not uncommon to see a lot of cheering and chants from the dugout over the course of the game, as this is fouled wide. 0-1 here against Kenny. But so far here at the Little East Conference Championship, easily the most vocal and probably coordinated has to be the Southern Maine Huskies dugout. Kenny with an 0-1 count. Swings and fouls that over in the dugout. Making contact with a couple of her teammates there. They look over jokingly and incredulously at her and say, hey, what do we do? So 0-2, pitch up high. Couldn't get Kenny to chase there. Miller looking for the punch out. So bases loaded, 1-2 here against Kenny. And that goes just foul. And a nice play there by Southern Maine head coach Sarah Jamo. Stays 1-2 for Kenny. Bohan on first. Tinsman on second. Brown on third. And that is a bit too high, 2-2. And see that Kaylee Horner, pinch runner, has come in for Brown. 2-2. Swing and a miss for Kenny. She goes down swinging for a second time, and a big second out here from Plymouth State. So Tabitha Hirsch, who had an epic battle in the last at-bat against Miller. An at-bat that lasted 17 pitches. Now trying to get on board. Swings on the first pitch, and making the catch at third was Landers. So Miller and the Panthers get out of trouble. No runs, 2 hits, no errors, 3 left on base, and the Panthers maintain their 3-0 lead as we head to the bottom of the 4th. So it looks like, as we head to the bottom of the fourth, that Alexis Brown's day on the mound may be done. As we see Haley Davenport coming in. And Davenport, if my statistics are correct, making her first appearance on the mound for Southern Maine this season. So Brown finishes up with 3 innings pitched, 4 hits, 3 runs, 1 earned, 4 walks, and 1 strikeout. Leading off the inning here at the top of the order, Deborah Morrill. Morrill's flown out to left field twice so far here this afternoon. So the umpire getting, I guess, checking the substitution. And whatever was said must have been pretty humorous because it got a nice little reaction from both dugouts. And so the first pitch for Davenport goes for a strike. That pitch down low, though, 1-1. And that is over the head of the third baseman and just in fair territory. And so Morrill leads off the bottom of the fourth with a single into left field. So just over the outstretched glove there of Hirsch. So Davenport, the sophomore, transferred from the University of Maine at Presque Isle, making her first appearance on the mound this season, so it seems. Now next up, Cassidy Emerson, who homered in her first at-bat and also flew out to center field. No outs, 1 aboard here for the Panthers. A sacrifice bunt goes foul tip out of play. 0-2 against Emerson. Swung on and fouled out of play. And it looks like Emerson may have had the bat awkwardly hit her on that foul ball, clutching her hand a little bit after that last swing. So it remains 0-2 here for Emerson. Davenport with lines and has popped up towards the first base side and quickly calling off. Bohan was Brown. And so Brown, make that how. That's a little bit harder of a play than perhaps it needed to be. So the first out of the inning. And Ashley Dale next up. Davenport again getting a first pitch strike. So seeing here with Davenport in at pitcher, it looks like Alexis Brown has rotated over to first base. One and two the count now against Deo. Still a run on first. That is Deborah Morrill, who singled to lead off the inning. So Brown to first base. Swing and a miss. As a stolen base in the meantime there for Morrill. So Davenport gets her first strikeout of her Southern Maine career. Morrill with the stolen base, and it is a runner on second now with 2 outs. Madison Harris. So Kaylee Bohan goes to designated player now. And it looks like Lauren Gassaway might be done for this game. We'll see how they come out to take the field at the top of the 5th. So Madison Harris now up to the plate. Single and a walk today and a run scored back in the first inning, part of that 3-run first inning that is responsible for the 3-0 lead for Plymouth State. Harris pops us high up in the air. That will go well out of play. 0-2 the count against the first baseman. So Davenport's done a pretty good job of getting ahead in the count. Harris fouls that one off and will stay alive. So Harris trying to get Morrill home here. Pitch inside, just missed making contact, so it stays 1-2. And Harris ropes that into left field. Morrill rounds third. Dropped there by Kenny. And Morrill will get home standing up as Harris goes diving back into first. Harris with the RBI single to make it 4-0 for Plymouth State. So designated player Samantha Cushing, who is 0 for 2 today. She's up to bat with 2 outs here for the Panthers. Pitch in for a strike here from Davenport. And Cushing comes up swinging. That goes out of play. And she's down a whole 0-2. So for her first pitching appearance this season for Southern Maine, been pretty impressed with Davenport. She's done a pretty good job of getting ahead in the counts almost every single batter so far. And now she gets Cushing looking. And that's going to be the strikeout to end inning. Second of the inning for Davenport, second on Cushing. And so Southern Maine able to get out of it, but Plymouth able to add one to go up 4-0. We head to the top of the 5th when we return. I think I know what the joke was. They announced the pitcher, Ashley Allward, who's number 3. Haley Davenport wearing number 23. As that's fouled out of play. So the question is, and what we're not able to discern up here in the booth, is this Haley Davenport or Ashley Howard? Either way, 1-1 the count on the player to be identified, and that is lined right to first base. Easy play for Harris. And 1 away here in the top of the 5th. So next up, top of the order, Erin Martin. She is 1 for 2 this afternoon. Southern Maine trailing 4-0. Caitlin Miller remains on the mound. Allowed just 4 hits, no earned runs, has 4 strikeouts. That skipped into the catcher, 1-1 the count. And hit to the opposite field. That'll drop in front of Morrill. And a quick throw to first base, not in time. So Martin aboard to start off the 5th. Martin now 2 for 3 today as Caitlin Nelson, who is 0 for 2 with a strikeout. Goes sacrifice bunt to advance the runner. Quick throw to first in time. But Martin on second, now with 2 down. So 5-3 on the putout. And Brooke Cross, 1 for 2 with a single back in the first inning. And a runner on second. Miller with the curveball, that's in for a strike. And that's in for a strike. So it looks like we have some clarity, which we'll get into in the bottom half of the inning as to who was actually pitching for Southern Maine in the 4th. Miller with an 0-2 count. Too high on that one, ball 1. Cross with the 1-2 pitch. That is rolled in. Now 2-2. All even. We'll say this. The Southern Maine dugout not lacking energy. This goes opposite field, but out of play. Harris couldn't get there in time. Count still even at 2-2. Miller with the outfielders playing straight away. Pitch inside, 3-2, full count for Miller once again. So 2 outs. Martin on second. Full count for Cross. The senior waits for the pitch. Fouls it in behind that backstop. Cross already extended her hit streak now to 8 games with a single back in the first. With the full count pitch again. High up in the air, comes out to center field. Emerson under it. She makes the catch for the final out of the inning. So the Huskies cannot get a runner past home plate, and so remains 4-0 for the Panthers, who are up to bat when we return. So, Haley Davenport not on the mound for Southern Maine last inning, or this inning, in fact. 2-3 on her jersey, 3 in your programs. Not sure if it was a case of lost laundry or what have you, but Allward coming in relief of Alexis Brown. And so Haley Davenport, for all the talk about her making her first appearance on the mound for the Huskies this season, well, all lies. Instead, Ashley Allward, who has a record of 7-8, 21 appearances this season. And up to bat here is Goss, and she's able to beat a throw to first base. So, leading off things for Plymouth State, Goss, and she's aboard for the third time in this game. So starting off in the bottom of the fifth, Mel Goss on first base. Nora Butler with the attempted bunt. Instead it goes off for foul ball and strike one. That ball in the dirt, nicely blocked there by the catcher, Tinsman. 1-1 the count now against Butler. So as we went through Haley Davenport's stats in that last inning, thinking she was on the mound, let's take a moment to go through Ashley Allward's statistics this season. As the freshman from Cornville, Maine, played her high school ball at Skowhegan. As we said, 7-8 this season, averaging 6.28 strikeouts per 7 innings, has an ERA of 3.18. Allowed a run last inning, and now she allows a single to center field as Cross comes up to play. But first and second here for the Panthers with no outs here in the bottom of the fifth. So now up to the plate, Lindsey Hall, the left fielder. And that's tapped down the first base line, and a quick throw over the first, in time, not in time, as Hall beats it out. So bases loaded here. on the sacrifice bunt that turns into a single for Hall and the Husky. It makes that the Panthers. Jen Lander. And it looks like we might have a pitching change again. So Brown has been playing first base. Maybe she comes back over to pitch here for Allward. Four to nothing for the Panthers, and Coach Jamo making sure, or trying to make sure, that the deficit does not get any deeper here for Southern Maine. Goss on third, Butler on second, Hall on first. Landers, the batter, upcoming here for Plymouth State. So Allward will stay on the mound. And it looks like pinch hitter here for the Panthers, Hannah Seidner. Will come in. She's hitting .225 this season. And that pitch down the dirt and making a run for home as Goss, and she's tagged out by Allward. So a great play behind the plate by Tinsman, and Allward able to apply the tag as Goss gambled and unable to get the additional run. But the runners do advance. Butler now stands on third, and Hall goes to second. And 1-0 the count against Seidner. So called a wild pitch, and then 9-1 for the tagout. Seidner now with a count of 1-1. And that pitch is low for ball two. Another pitch outside the strike zone, 3-1 the count. Huskies do have a base open if they want to take advantage. Allward with the pitch. Just a tad up high, so a walk here for Seidner, who heads the first. And we go back to the top of the order where Deborah Morrill, who singled in her last at-bat, had a stolen base and scored, and she has bases loaded with one out. Pitch outside, nicely knocked down and held onto by Tinsman, 1-0. That pitch just misses the outside corner, now 2-0. So Allward in some trouble here in the fifth inning. Down 4-0, and now bases loaded. Allward with a play knocked over to Howe. Gets by her glove and into center field or a roll. Coming around to score is Butler. Hall as well. Seidner goes to third. And Morrill safe at first. Two more runs in. And the Panthers now lead 6-0. You can see Hal running over in position to make the play. It looked like the ball took a funny hop on her. And we'll see how they score that. Cassidy Emerson next up to the plate. She is 1 for 3 with a home run. Got the scoring started back in the second. And a pitch down in the dirt. Tensman kept it in front of her, but Morrill able to steal second in the process. So now runners second and third with still one out. And this is popped up to the pitcher. How under it? We'll call off the pitcher and make the catch herself. So second at bat in a row that Emerson has popped up to the second baseman. Ashley Dale 0 for 2 today. They say she reached base on an error back in the first inning. And that pitch up high, now 2-0 the count. And take that back. She walked in back in the first inning. Now Dale. The little Texas leaguer, that's caught by Brown. So the pitcher turned first baseman makes the catch, and that will end the inning. But not before Plymouth State scores 2 more. As Deborah Morrow with the 2-run single to make it now 6-0 for Plymouth State. We head to the top of the 6th. And be right back on the Little East Network. Top of the 6th here. Opportunities running out for Southern Maine. They trail Plymouth State 6-0, and leading off the inning, Alexis Brown swings to the first pitch. That goes over her own dugout. Foul ball, 0-1. So Jen Landers, who had Hannah Seidner pinch hit for her in last inning, will stay in at third base. Miller with the breaking ball that's outside, 1-1. Miller now up to 100 pitches in this game. And that was smoked right by the pitcher back in the center field as Alexis Brown leads off the inning with a single. Tinsman up next, 1 for 2. Singled in the 4th inning. An inning in which Southern Maine had bases loaded, but Miller able to dig herself out of trouble in that one. Miller at the pitch, and that's fouled out of play by Tinsman. So the outfielders shading a bit to the left field side with Tinsman up to plate. Pitch up high, 2-1 the count. Miller. And a swing by Tinsman. High up in the air it goes. Backtracking to make the play is Butler. And she fields it for out number 1. Kaylee Bowen, 0 for 1 this afternoon with a walk. She's got a runner on first with 1 out. Pitch. Outside for ball 1. Miller. Fastball called for a strike, 1-1 here. Breaking ball, missed up high. 2-1 now here for Miller on Bohan. So the winner of this game will take on Eastern Connecticut State tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Lucy here today, all done with this tournament. Miller with a 3-1 count. Bowen watches for a called strike 2. Full count now. Bowen swipes at it, and that gets popped up towards center field as Butler calls everyone off with Emerson bearing down. 3 players in the area, and that looked like it could have been trouble. Emerson pulled up at the last second. So 2 outs, still 1 runner aboard here for Southern Maine, and Hannah Kinney, who was struck out twice here today. So UMass Dartmouth and UMass Boston will play later today. Originally set for a 4 p.m. start. I think with it being 3:55 to go, 3:55 right now, and still potentially an inning and a half to go, might be a little bit later on. But either way, the winner of that game will take on the winner of tomorrow morning's game. But we need to get into who's eliminated, who still remains. As that's fouled out of play there by Kinney, and so 1-2 the count. Two down, 1-2 count, and that ball rolls in on Dale for ball 2. So 2-2 as Miller deals outside, full count. Oh, Miller with a full count. Kinney swings on this one and pops it right back to Miller, who will close the mitt for the final out of the inning. So 1 hit, no runs, no errors, 1 left on base. We go to the bottom of the 6th. Plymouth State ahead, 6-0. So Madison Harris leading off the inning here. Harris 2 for 2 today. Run scored, also had a walk. Takes a first pitch ball. That one's fouled out of play, a 1-1. And hard swing and a miss, 1-2 the count as Ashley Allward stays in on the mound. Allward sails that one over the head of Tinsman, but only counts as a ball with no one aboard. Harris with a long drive to center field over to make the play as Brooks scooting over to her left side. Brooke Cross making the catch for out number 1. So a very long out there for Harris. And Samantha Cushing. Over 3 today with 2 strikeouts. One and 1 in the count now. Bottom of the 6th. Cushing will get this right to center field. Cross back to play again, and she'll stride in to make the catch. So Brooke Cross busy in center field on the last 2 at-bats. 2 down here for Plymouth State. And Mel Goss. Now the batter here for the Panthers. She is 1 for 2 today with a single, a walk, and reached first base on an error back in the first inning and was tagged out at home last inning trying to make it from third on a wild pitch. She's ahead in the count, 2-0. Let's see how they officially scored that. So, wild pitch, and Goss out at home. Catch the pitcher. So as we suspected, 2-1 now the count here against Mel Goss. Goss hits this to right field, and that will drop into foul territory for strike 2. So Plymouth State, the 2 seed here in this tournament. 21-17, 11-5 in Little East play. And they just didn't have an answer for Jen Greenspan yesterday against UMass Boston, but they've had an answer here today against starter Alexis Brown and reliever Ashley Allward. Ball 4 there on Goss. She'll head to first base, so she is a 2-out base runner here for Plymouth State. And Nora Butler. She's a perfect 3 for 3 today with a run. All singles for Butler. And that pitch goes for a ball. Butler and the Panthers trying to add a little insurance. That pitch is low for ball 2. And Butler ahead in the count. Watches a fastball go in for a strike. 2-1 now against Butler. So Eastern Connecticut State, the only team so far to make it through without a loss. In fact, they've shut out both opponents by a combined score of 11-0. Beating Southern Maine yesterday in 6 innings. And then taking down UMass Boston at the second game of 4 here today, 3-0. As Butler able to drop this into center field around second, into third is Harris to make that Goss. And so a 2-out single here by Butler. It gets Harris to make that Goss, again, all the way to third base. First and third, 2 outs. And Lindsey Hall, who scored last inning, also had a single.
Number 16, Lindsey Hall.
And show it this one opposite field. That goes into the bullpen down to our left. 0-1 here against Hall. Hall officially 1 for 2 today with a walk. Pitch up high. And high enough. And that Butler is able to steal a base. So now second and third. Good heads-up running by the Panthers. We've seen Deborah Morrill swipe 2. And now another stolen base. This by Butler. Pitch just a bit outside, 2-1. So already a pretty steep hill to climb for the Huskies. Panthers trying to make it a little steeper and want to attack on a few more here in the bottom of the 6th. All right, now Hall working a 3-1 count. Hall lofts this out to center field, and Cross stays in her spot, and she makes all 3 outs this inning. And so that will close out this 6th inning. 1 hit, no runs, no errors, 2 left on base for the Panthers. And they take the field for the top of the 7th, looking to close things out here against Southern Maine. Caitlin Miller back on the mound for the Panthers, trying to go the distance for Plymouth State. They lead Southern Maine 6-0, top of the 7th, and leading off for the Huskies will be Tabitha Hirsch. Hirsch 0 for 2 today, had probably the best at bat of the day for the Huskies, going 17 pitches against Miller back in the 2nd inning, and now she knocks this over to left field. Over to make the play is Hall, and so 1 quickly away here, top of the 7th.
Now batting the pitcher, number 3, Ashley Howard.
So Ashley Allward, the pitcher. Normally number 3, wearing number 23 today. Up to bat here with one away. And Miller gets a first pitch strike against Allward. That pitch outside, 1-1 now against Allward. So Plymouth State rebounding nicely so far after that loss yesterday. As Allward knocks this to right field, and a diving catch by Morrill to record the second out of the inning. Morrill reading that perfectly, getting over there in time to make the catch, diving in the process. And so 1 out left here for the Huskies. Top of the order we go. Aaron Martin trying to keep this inning alive and get any sort of rally going for Southern Maine. Miller skips that one in, so ball 1 to start off this at-bat. And this is grounded to shortstop. Butler makes a play, throws over the first, and that will do it. Miller going the distance, allowing just 6 hits, no runs, 4 strikeouts, and Plymouth State knocks Southern Maine out of the Little East Conference tournament with a 6-0 win here today. Big game for Nora Butler. She goes 4 for 4, and that'll do it. So, next up, UMass Dartmouth and UMass Boston in the final game of the day. For all those tuning in, I'm Mike O'Brien. Thanks for listening on LittleEast.com. We'll see you in a moment for UMass Boston and UMass Dartmouth.